He went to go live with other civilizations. How could there be other civilizations if it was just Adam and Eve and then Cain and Abel? How could there be other civilizations? It doesn't make sense. So there's so many questions in Genesis that I even question, like, did it really start with Adam and Eve? Like, were they really the first two people here on this planet? I don't know.
That's right. And same thing is like they're becoming like one of us. What do you mean us? You walk into a store at a certain time. You're supposed to be there.
Yep.
Every single thing that we do is divine intervention.
Yeah.
It is divine timing in every single situation. One thing she said to me was just like, you're only 34 years old. You haven't been through any life experiences. And I'm like, what the fuck are you? You don't see that because you don't want to hear what I have to say to you.
Can I do this to you?
Yeah.
He grabs my forearm. He pulls me toward him. He puts his hand on my chest like this. And he's just like, whoa, you're a big boy.
Oh, God. I didn't know what was coming.
He was just like, you're a big boy.
Perfect example. The other day I'm walking Hestia, sitting inside the playground, and this kid launches something into the road as a car is driving by.
Dangerous.
Right. And I go, was it worth it?
That's what you said to him?
I was like, was it worth it? Didn't say anything. And I walked closer. I was like, yo, was it worth it? Still didn't say anything. I'm like, I'm talking to you. I saw you throw that. I was like, was it worth it? And he's just like, I'm like, pick it up, dude. Like, what happens if you hit the car?
Yeah.
He's like, I'll pick it up when I leave. I was just like, okay, sounds good. Thank you. And then the next day I drove by and the thing was sitting on the ground still. And I'm like, motherfucker, like...
What did he throw?
Those stupid vape things, which is another stupid thing, a part of society that's just wasteful. And we shouldn't be using them. Like those things like that big, like those vapes.
Yeah.
And that's what he chucked. And I'm like, what are you doing? But then you lie to me even more so. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, when I see that kid again, if I see him again, I'm going to let him know and be like, you know that thing that you threw and then you lied on top of it? When bad shit comes back to you, don't fucking complain. Because that's the reason why right there.
Yeah.
So don't be like, oh, why is this happening to me? Because you just did dumb shit and then you lied on top of the dumb shit thing.
Oh, well, which leads me into the introduction. Welcome back to another episode of The Prodigal Sons. What is this, episode 6? This is episode 6.
I think so.
Wow, that's crazy.
We're on 2 hands.
We are on 2 hands. That is wild. I hope you guys have been enjoying the episodes. I think we're going to change up a few things. Starting with today's episode, actually. There's some things to get into. I went to Vegas and Utah. I think we should kind of dive into that. Well, I'll open up with that. I don't mind talking about my experience.
Do it.
But before we even get into anything, I figured we would kind of just make this a habit of praying right before our podcast, making sure that the things we talk about impacts one of you guys in the best way possible, and allowing our words to just flow in a way that you guys could understand, but most importantly, connect to it. So if you would like, you can open
that up. Right there is a prayer. You realize that, right?
Was it?
As you're saying it.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful prayer.
That did kind of flow nicely.
Yes, that's the way it's supposed to be. You were saying something for them to be a part of what we're trying to experience for them, and having the presence of God to share that experience with them, for them to... That was beautifully said as a prayer.
I think.
And you didn't even know it. That's the overthinking of not knowing how to say something, but you're just
flowing.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Someone asked me if I knew how to pray, and I told them like, nah, not really, because I do in my own time, but like when I'm around people, I overthink a lot. So they were asking because they wanted help praying because they're the same way. They overthink a lot when someone asks them to pray. So I kind of came down to that conclusion. It just stems from overthinking. But when you just let go and you just anything that comes to mind, you just allow it to flow. It flows. So if that's a prayer, I mean, that's a perfect opener.
For sure. I mean, I don't mind saying one either. Father, we look for your assistance. We look for your guidance, especially in this episode, so that the words that we speak, the words that come out of us is in true connection to your love, and that they are connecting to the people that are listening and seeing us, or however they're being able to view us, that they're receiving our words and they're coming directly from your love, God. Please allow us to be open and vulnerable and allow ourselves to express with an open heart, an open mind, and an open soul, so that what we are releasing from us is the truth. For what's releasing from us is just true expression of what you're looking for us to become. So that as we're becoming what you're looking for us to be, that the people around us, the people that are viewing this, the people that are listening this, can also take the steps to become the person that they're also meant to be. We thank you for all that you have given us. We thank you for everything that you will give us. And we thank you for all that you've removed from our lives that was never meant to be. We thank you, Father. Amen.
Amen. Beautifully said. Honestly, if you guys can, please like, comment, and subscribe. It honestly just helps us out. I mean, again, we're still getting used to saying it, but it's really just going to help us out, especially the comments. It's going to boost the algorithm. Hopefully, just like put our videos out there for more people to see. So, please just take that into consideration. If you don't, it's completely fine. We still love you. I went to Vegas.
Yeah. How was it?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
So I did not anticipate going there for that long. So the plan was go to Vegas, and spend like 2 days out there because I had a layover out in Vegas, so I might as well start my trip out there. So my family met me in Vegas from Utah. They drove 6 hours.
Beautiful.
And then we stayed in Vegas for like 4 days. Now, mind you, when I'm on the airplane, we head into Vegas, and as we're about to land, the pilot is just like, "Welcome to Sin City," bro. And I forgot all about how Vegas is called like Sin City. What happened in Vegas stays in Vegas. I forgot all about that. I was kind of just like going into Vegas with an open mindset. But when he said Sin City, I was just like, "Holy shit!" I completely forgot about this. I forgot that sin is like glorified here. And as soon as I landed, I kind of like felt off. Like I kind of felt it. Like I felt the energy. I had this guy walk by me. First of all, I got a funny story for you, but this was out in Utah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, 4 days in Vegas. Few things happened, but nothing crazy. But when I got to Utah, this was a weird one. I went to Walmart with my aunt and my little cousin, and they were shopping. Chilling with family. Cool. They go to the car, right? And I'm pushing the cart back. As they're in the car, we're getting ready to leave, and I'm pushing the car back to where it needs to be. And I'm walking, and this old man, he comes up to me, totally unexpected. He grabs my I'm not even lying.
Oh, shit. Here you
go. He grabs my forearm.
Yeah.
He pulls me toward him. He puts his head. Can I do this to you?
Yeah.
He grabs my forearm. He pulls me toward him. He puts his hand on my chest like this, and he's just like, "Whoa, you're a big boy."
Oh, God. I didn't know what was coming.
He was just like, "You're a big boy." Oh, man.
Reminds me of the Family Guy. The old man. Make sure you stretch your hamstrings.
I was so uncomfortable. I was just like, "Thank you, brother. Thank you." He was just like, "Oh, wow, you're so big."
Was he an older dude?
He was like 60, 70 years old. And he was just like touching my chest. And he was just like, "Whoa, you're a big boy." I was like, "Thanks. Appreciate it." And then I walked away. And he walked like back to his car, and he did a double take. Like as he was walking back.
Were you in Utah?
I was in Utah.
I wonder if he was Mormon.
Maybe. There's a whole lot of Mormons out there.
There is a lot of Mormons. I mean, it's like the state for Mormons.
Yeah.
But is that?
It's probably because of the shorts I was wearing.
You think so?
That's what my mother said. She was just like, "Oh, I keep telling you about the shorts."
Yeah, well, fucking be vulnerable. You know what I mean? But with that, it also shows how gross people are.
Yeah, that was wild.
It shows how gross people are.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
That was wild. That's bold as well.
Very bold.
Very bold.
Yeah, that's different.
That was an experience. But I told my aunt and
was he white or black?
He was white. Yeah. He said,
"You're a big boy."
He said, I was like, "Thanks." Yeah, I was like.
Do you think he was trying to like sexually?
I don't know. I
mean, the way it sounds to me, it sounds sexual.
It seems like I need to start using the hashtag #MeToo from here on out.
Yeah.
I don't know, brother. I'm sorry. That's how it kind of felt. But that was an experience. I had a few other experiences out there. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a good trip. But funny enough, when I came back here, and we were talking about this the other day, I kind of feel different. Like I felt like I was high energy, felt very good just talking to so many people out there. I was interacting with people, complimenting people, smiling. Had a few compliments out there as well, which I don't, they are what they are.
Right.
But I felt good. And then as soon as I landed back here in Poughkeepsie, I was just like, I hate it here. So ever since I've been back, my energy has kind of been off.
Do you think? Have you thought about why? Because I know why. I've already thought into it. I mean, I've experienced it before, so I've already thought into it. I would just want to ask you why.
I think I know why. It's the experiences. It's my current living circumstances.
Okay.
It's the people that I'm around that causes me stress.
Okay.
And if you want to relate it back to like high vibrational energy and low vibrational energy, while I was out in Utah, especially because Las Vegas is
very high. Oh, low,
Low.
huh?
I would say low.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that in that term, but I'm thinking high in the activity that's out there.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like a beehive in a sense. It's
Sure.
like constant
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on.
So that's why I would think high, but in the morality of things,
yeah,
low.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Utah, it is so beautiful.
Mm.
Have you ever been to Utah? No?
Not yet.
You got to go, and you will. It is beautiful. The mountains, the atmosphere, everything out there is just. If you love nature, that is the place to be.
Yeah.
So while I was out there, I just felt so connected. And also, one of the days I spent the day inside of the house in Utah, but I still felt like incredible. I felt like I had so much energy. I was interacting, and I think also part of it is my aunt. She's very loving. She has this light to her. Like it's very nurturing, very like caring, very loving. And I think you bounce off of that energy. It's infectious.
Absolutely.
And it's high vibrational.
Mm-hmm.
So coming back, I think that's my perception of why I've been off.
For sure. And it's also new sceneries, right?
True.
New energy fields. You're leaving behind energy fields that were here. So when you're how do I want to describe it? So when you're in a spot, living in a spot for so long, right? Those experiences sit inside that container. So all of the emotions, all of the feelings, all of the thoughts, everything that you've been a part of sits inside that container.
Yeah.
So even say like when you're leaving your home to come here, you're distancing yourself from it. Same thing now, you're going hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away. Opposite side of the country, now you're around different people, you're around different experiences. So all of those feelings, emotions, all of that jazz that sit in the container of the home that you're inside of is now being left behind. So you remove it from yourself. It's not there anymore. Yeah. Even though you know it's there, but you're not inside of it, so you're not feeling it. But then when you come back, it's almost like a tidal wave. It all just fucking crashes back on top of you. Yeah. Because you've been so removed. You're almost like, using the water analogy, you're out on an island when you're sitting in Utah and Las Vegas or Nevada, whatever. So you're out there on an island. Yeah. But then when you come back, you're coming back to a tsunami that's about to hit you. And now it all rushes back in again. So you have to be able to use that light, that higher vibrational field that you were feeling on the opposite side of the country, to bring it with you back to where you are. To know that you can transmute that energy. It's the same thing for myself. Like, I'm back in with my parents. I love them. I appreciate them for housing me and taking me in. But we all have wounds. We all have traumas, and we all have things going on in our lives. And some people are more apt to be able to handle their stressors. Other people project their stressors. Other people house their stressors inside of them, and then it just sometimes it erupts out of nowhere and it's a huge meltdown. Yep. So there's so many different elemental factors to how people handle stress. But what we have to remember at the end of the day is that this thing's about the soul. This whole thing is about the soul experience. Yeah. And each of us signed up for every single thing that we're inside of. You already signed up for it. You're just now living it out. It's a great book, Soul Contracts by Carolyn Weiss. Like, you signed up to go out to Nevada. You signed up to go to Utah at the time that you did, for the days that you did. And you said, like, you prolonged one of the days or 2 days. You weren't expecting it, but who did expect it? Your soul and God. You were meant to do that, but you were living it out and it took you by surprise. Meanwhile, that was supposed to take place. Same thing when you came back. You got hit and bombarded with all of that energy that was here waiting for you. Yeah. You distanced yourself, but now you came back into those energy fields. You signed up for that too. So everything that we handle and everything that we take on, we've already signed up for. It's just on us to be able to recognize, how do I keep myself in these higher vibrational states, even when these lower vibrational stressors that are trying to take us away from it. All there for a reason. Every single piece of it. Yeah. Sorry, tangent thought, but go ahead.
No, that makes sense, because it does feel like God put me out there for a reason. I think He wanted to show me a different environment and show me that this is what I could obtain on an everyday sort of basis. Yes. Living in this vibrational state, living in this loving state, living in this state where I can just pour out to people because my cup is so overflown. Is that
overflowing? I was with you, but you were
overflown.
Right.
Is that a word?
To me, yes.
Yeah, but to
everybody else, probably not.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I knew what you were going
okay,
with.
Well,
overflowing.
my cup is overflowing. Yeah. So if it's overflowing, it's going to pour into other people's cups automatically. And since God's love is abundant, I'm able to share it with other people. It's not just for myself.
Correct.
So, yeah, I thought it was a beautiful experience out there. And I think that's why I'm reminiscing a little bit. But I'm also understanding that I could also bring it here.
Yes, and it is here. It's not that
it is here.
It already is here.
Yeah.
It's not like it's distant from you.
Yeah, you seek and you shall find.
Right.
And that's the mindset that I guess I've been working through the past couple of days. With that being said, I did meet somebody out there. Not going to say their name.
All right.
Not even going to describe them. But I think this was definitely just the experience itself. You want to talk about soul contracts. You want to talk about like things happening for a reason. I think this particular situation happened for a reason. I don't know what that reason is yet. I know I spoke to you about it off camera.
Yeah.
Probably keep it that way. But even with that experience, I thought that was peculiar. Just the way that everything kind of like played out the way that it did.
That's everything, though.
It is.
It's every person. Especially
when you least expect it.
That was last night. So perfect, right? Like last night, my last client of the night at Hand and Stone, she wasn't I didn't have anybody from 9 to 10 last night. And she signed up. It had to be like midday through the day. And never been there before, never had a massage at Hand and Stone, has had a massage before, but never had a massage there. And she comes in, ball of stress, like going through a lot of transitions, a lot of things inside of life. Same thing. She goes, I'm meant to be here with you right now. And I was like, yes. Likewise for myself with you. It's not just a one-sided street. It's everything.
Absolutely.
Every person, every single... You walk into a store at a certain time. You're supposed to. Every single thing that we do is divine intervention.
Yeah.
It is divine timing in every single situation. That's why that book is so beautiful, because it really makes you take a step back and say if you're walking in New York City, right, for example.
Yeah.
And you see a homeless person sitting on the side of the street. You smile at them. That was a soul contract.
Yeah.
That was a contract the two of you signed before coming into existence. God signed off on that contract to make sure that it took place. So that when it did take place, both of you can smile at each other and something happens either to you or to the other person, brings you up higher.
You know what ignited me? Something put a fire in my spirit when I was out there. So one of the things, you kind of just mentioned it. You know how many homeless people there were out there in Las Vegas? It is so sad to see. It is crazy to think about it. It's everywhere, but it's there. Like,
and I was having this conversation with somebody in the dog park just yesterday. It's go to Seattle. Worse out there in Seattle than it is in Vegas.
Oof.
Go to fucking Austin, Texas. It's horrible down there too.
Bro, think about the media.
Go to Chicago.
Yeah,
Chicago's horrible. Go to New York City.
California, New York.
So then I approached it further. Was we are sending all of this money everywhere else, right? And we know everybody complains about the homelessness, right?
Yeah.
But let's give money to this country. Let's give money to that country.
Makes no sense.
But what about our infrastructure too? Not just the homelessness. What about our bridges? Look how many bridges have collapsed. Look how many train systems have collapsed. Look at all of the road systems that are fucking horrible, especially in New York. Think about how many people get flat tires and tire. But we keep on sending money overseas. That's a part of the entrapment. That's part of us thinking that we're supposed to help everybody outside this country. But then we pay, in my eyes, up to 70% in taxes. Not just taxes throughout the year, but then your food, your gas, go down the list, right? Like, so we're probably close to 70% in taxes. Where's all that money? And then we keep on talking about the homelessness. Why does it keep on rising? Because all the money's going elsewhere. Or it's going into the politicians' pockets. Because then who's creating the division more so? Politicians.
Take the log out of your eye before you take the speck out of someone else's.
And that's the country.
That's the country, but that's everything. Why are we so quick to kind of like help other places or like pour money into other places when there's a whole lot of shit going on here? It doesn't make sense.
That's right.
Bro, the homelessness was out of this world. And I know if we go to the city, if we took a trip down to the city right now, we would see a whole lot of
100%.
But out in Vegas, you have the Strip. You have the very popular areas in Vegas, which is really only the Strip. But outside of the strip, brother, you walk around, you drive around, you see people in tents, you see people just outside in the street. Bro, it is 115 degrees out there. These people are laying out on benches like in the sun. And I'm like, yo, this is like 2-3 minutes away from the strip. Even like in the strip too, there were homeless people, but it's just like, bro, even in the airport. People are laying out in the airport, which I was just like, this is...
So 2 ways to look at this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's many ways, but things that come to my mind is A, free choice, right? They chose that path. They chose to live that way. You could choose to not live that way.
Sure.
It's your choice to do that.
Yeah.
From that, thank you. Thank you for living that path, because you're showing me that is not the way I want to live. Do I want you living that way as a human? No. But that is what you chose. So I accept you and love you for what you want to do. From that, it's teaching me that I can live differently from those actions. Yeah. So thank you. But then it goes to now the perspective of God, where, and I don't know the full scripture and how it's said, but we're more important than the birds, right? We're more important than the cattle roaming the land.
Do not worry, yeah.
Those people always have water. Those people always have food. Those people have a shelter. Even though it's not the shelter that we perceive it to be, do those people usually have food? At some point in time, they get food.
Yep.
When they need the food, they get the food.
Yeah.
When they need the water, they get the water. So it makes you think, why am I overthinking? Go back to that in the beginning of the podcast. Why do I overthink?
Everything you don't have will be provided for you.
Correct.
If it's not your time to go, you're not going to go. And you touched on something. Nothing is unexpected. I mean, to you, it may be unexpected, but everything is divine. Everything is planned out. So even if something, God forbid, if I was on that plane and I was taken out, that plane crashed and I died, like that was planned from the beginning.
Correct.
That's how it was supposed to go out.
Correct.
I was supposed to die. So even on the plane, because sometimes I get anxiety going on the plane. I feel like I'm past it now, but there's still a little feeling inside of me, like, bro, I don't want to die like this. God, let me get to the other side.
Right?
Like, you can take me out any other way, but an airplane, really?
I completely agree.
You know what I mean?
That's why I don't fly. That's one of the reasons why I don't
really
fly. Why do you think I live in a travel trailer? That's why I travel the country.
Have you ever flew?
Of course I have.
Yeah.
But then you start learning about the radiation too. Like, we're not supposed to be that high in the elevation, that close to the sun. Like, all that is affecting us. And then you think, if you're doing it on a continuous basis, what is that doing to you? I am a land creature. I have feet and legs up for a reason. I don't fly in the sky.
Yeah.
I'm here on the floor. I'm here. I don't have gills to swim in the ocean.
So
I'm a land animal.
So if you're going to go to California, you're going to take a trip out there by car.
Or train.
By train.
Or train.
Yeah.
100%.
So you're not taking another airplane?
Nope. And if I have to go overseas, I'll be taking a boat.
Really?
Yeah, I ain't going in planes no more. I don't trust that shit.
Brother, going on a boat I would argue, is far worse. I would argue it's probably far scarier than going on a plane. Brother.
You're probably right.
We only know, what, 5% of the ocean?
If that, yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah, I know. That is me talking out of my ass right now. So if I was to go to, like, say, Australia or Japan, something like that, yeah, I'd probably fly. For sure. But in country, like in the United States, I'm driving. Yeah. Driving for sure. Plus, you get to see so much more. Think about if you drove out to Nevada. You know how much of a country you would see? Something that you wouldn't see because you're in the sky overlooking it. You don't even see what's down there. You'll see open fields, open pastures. You'll see mountains and things like that. But you could drive through that. That's one of the most beautiful experiences that I received from driving through the country. And especially, like, say if I'm living in Missouri when I was, and I go on a hike. I'll go on a hike that's X hours away from me, or not even X hours, but like whatever. And then I'll be in a small town. I'll stop in a small town and just get food there. Yeah. Because I get to meet people in a small town that I would never have got to meet.
True. That actually reminds me, I took some beautiful pictures. I'm going to show you after the podcast. Yeah. Beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah, this country is so wonderful.
What?
It's so wonderful, this country.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. You know what? Planes are very scary. Fly. But I think to myself, like, I'm not God, right? He can take me out anytime. Right. But like sometimes I kind of question, like, really? Like, why take us all out this way? You know? Like, what's the purpose behind this? You want us to be really, like, that terrified before we go? Really? But I also heard the statistic. It was driving is actually far more dangerous than being in an airplane.
I could see that.
because there's accidents every day. You rarely ever hear of like a plane crash.
You don't.
It's very rare.
Yeah, I get it. I like being in control in those manners.
Oh, for sure. Me too.
And
Me too.
I'm a non-controllable person, but in those settings, I like to be in control.
In control, yeah.
I can't be in the passenger seat. If somebody's driving, I can't be in a passenger seat.
Really?
I get car sick like real fast. Within like 2 minutes, I'll get car sick.
Wow. So you like driving?
I love driving.
Yeah.
Love it. It's one of my favorite things.
Huh.
Yeah. I love driving.
Yeah. I consider, I got a funny story, but I don't want to offend anyone. I'm a driver too. I love driving. I love being in the driver's seat. There's times, of course, where I am the passenger and like, it is what it is, but I have to trust you in order to kind of be in that passenger seat.
Right.
There's been a few times in my life where I've been terrified in the passenger seat. More terrified than being on an airplane. Brother.
Yeah.
Yo, people who like stomp on their brakes or like drive really, really fast.
What are we doing?
And then there's somebody in front of them and they wait until they get super, super close to then brake. Bro, oh my God.
What are we doing?
At that point, I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. Like I'm holding on to my seat. I'm holding on to the...
Now, do you go roller coasters?
I do.
I can't do roller coasters.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't like roller coasters.
I was just having a conversation with somebody about this.
Nope.
I love roller coasters. But it's also like you're signing up for your own...
I don't like it. It's... Same thing, right? You're driving 65 miles per hour in a car.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What's the fastest you've driven?
I mean, I've gone faster for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know, probably close to 100 I've driven. But still, you're driving a car that's 2,000 pounds of metal, right? You're driving next to cars that are also 2,000 pounds of metal.
Yeah.
What?
Imagine you collide.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a roller coaster. That's a thrill ride within itself.
It is.
But we don't acknowledge that it's a thrill ride. Then that goes into life. Like we don't acknowledge that life is a thrill ride. Life itself is a huge thrill ride.
Yeah.
All of the emotions, like how we're talking about before, you being here, going out to come back, that's a thrill. Going into these emotions, these experiences, and how you're sensing the stuff that's going on and in and around you, that's a thrill.
It is.
But we don't see it as a thrill because it's so common. It's so just everywhere in your face. But then you take a step back and you look at it and you're like, holy crap, like life is crazy. Life is just wild. But
it is.
It's allowing. It's why I see God as like a stallion, right? A stallion horse in the wild, where if you jump on this horse and you don't control the horse, it'll take you wherever it wants to go, and it will bring you to where you're supposed to go. The same thing as our own beings, where if we allow God to take us where we're supposed to go, all of those contracts that we're supposed to be signed for, we're leading ourselves to it. We try controlling it. Yes, you're still going to get those contracts signed that you're supposed to, but when you let yourself go, and you have those unexpected but also expected meetings with people and conversations with people, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I mean, what's happening right now with my own self, with my parents moving out to Delaware and me basically having no money, right? Like I'm starting over again because of what previously just happened in my last relationship and how basically I'm starting at zero. I'm back at zero again. And I know where I'm supposed to go, which is on a friend's property with a full RV hookup. And I thought it was set. I thought it was in place. But then come to find out one of their daughters is allergic to cat hair, and I have a cat. So now I thought I was set, ready to go, and now a twist comes in. This twist comes in, I start feeling those low vibrational states again, and this is what happened yesterday. This is yesterday when this took place. We've talked about it, but it hit me. It hit me so hard because my own family has a lot of trauma to finances, which I think is a lot of people that sit in that middle to low class. Like we all have those tensions towards the financial realm, and my parents are moving, so like they're dealing with money right now. They bought a place out in Delaware. They're dealing with money. How are they going to buy things out there? How do they have the funds with their Social Security, blah, blah, whatever that realm of stuff is. So all of that's going on. And then I'm also transitioning myself with no money. And I've thankfully built up this trust with God, knowing that He will always bring me where I'm supposed to go.
Amen.
And I thought it was set. I thought I was in stone. I thought this is where I was going next. And I am going there next, but now the home has to shift. I thought I was going to move into that RV. Now I'm not moving into that RV. So now I had to figure out the logistics. Do I have to call Facebook Marketplace? Do I try asking my parents to co-sign for me to get a camper from Camping World? Do I have another backup plan, which I don't mind doing, but do I want to do it? I don't know. Where one of the people who I get colonics from, which is, I think all of us should do it, especially when you're going to a professional colonic person that knows what they're doing. I guess if people don't know what colonics is you're getting water flushed up through your butthole. I mean, I didn't know any anal, I guess, or anus, colon, that's it. So colon, colonoscopy. Okay, that makes sense. Or colonics. So you're getting water spread up into your colon, and then it's flushing out your internal system of the possible bacteria, viruses, poop stuck to the inside of your intestines where you're not digesting the food and getting all the full nutrients that you could get, etc. Done it many times, and it's fantastic. But do I go with her for the RV?
Yeah.
Which is a very feasible thing. And then I could also just stop thinking about everything, right? Like, honestly, now that I'm speaking it out loud, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah. What? Like, do you think that's
I think that's the route. Yeah. Now that I'm talking it out loud, and I'm expressing it, why am I trying to go through all of these different hoops and loops and blah 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 where I already have a camper?
Yeah.
It may not be the camper I want.
Yep.
But it also removes all of the headaches that could be there.
Peace.
Right. Like, I already have a camper that I can live inside of, but it's just like, Bryan, you could go do this, you could do that, but you already have one. So why are you creating more of a mess on yourself? Well, we solved it.
Solved it. Give me 1 second.
That's that overthinking that we're speaking of.
Yep.
Thinking the wants of the eye.
Yeah.
Like, I want this camper. I want to be in this camper. I want that. Does it fucking matter?
Nope.
We're talking about homeless people that are sleeping in tent, laying on fucking benches, and I'm complaining about possibly finding the right camper. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's already a camper for me.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Perspective.
Right.
I think that's probably the hardest thing to kind of like accept in life. Because it's so easy to want something, and once you're fixated on it, that's the only thing that you have. And I think I touched on this in the last podcast. We'll ask God for something, but we're quick to reject the things that He's willing to deliver to us based off of. Let me say that again, because I just had a stroke.
Don't say that.
What?
You're putting it out there.
What, me having a stroke?
Yeah. Because I made fun of it last time, but now that I've learned different things through different forms of information, you're creating that field for it to take place by speaking that.
Okay, I rebuke it.
Thank you.
I rebuke it. What God is willing to deliver us whatever we ask for, but we can't reject it based off of His delivery system.
Right.
We have an expectation in mind, and because that expectation doesn't necessarily meet what God is willing to give us in that moment, we reject it, or we're blind to actually see what's right there in front of us. Does that make sense? Right? So like, we create this picture in our head, like, you know what, I want this RV, I want this camper, whatever it is, but like, God is He's giving you something that is best for you, but you're not able to see it because you're so fixated on something that you want. And that comes back to just letting go and allowing God to take control over every single aspect of your life. Right. Because He's all-knowing, He's full of wisdom, He knows so much better than us, or so much more than us, right? And He has His understanding of how the world works is just out of this world, obviously, because He created it. Right. So obviously, as His child, He knows what's best for you. And you speaking it out loud, it's just like, boom, you have that moment where you're just like, oh, wow, I've been ignoring this sign in front of me because I've been so fixated on these other things that maybe don't even really matter. Right. So I don't know if that's the route that you should go. Perfect.
She's also a follower of God too. Like, she believes firmly in God, and her and I have very deep conversations about God. So then it's just like, wouldn't you want to align yourself
with somebody else? Yeah, that has the same belief system as you.
Right.
Why not?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you should talk to her about it.
And she already knows that, like, I'm looking for one. And she, like, we've already talked about it. And my whole thing too was just like, I can't give her the full amount that she wants, but she's already said to me, just give me a down payment and then we can do like a monthly payment.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not do that? You have it. That eliminates all the other stresses.
For sure. And I don't have to think about anything now. Yeah, it's space, right? Like it's not a big hamper because I think about the animals. But I think Hestia will be fine. Like, whatever, she's good. And same thing with the cat. He's a little baby.
Oh, it's not super big.
It's not super big, but it's
a good size.
Yeah,
it's livable.
It's definitely livable for sure.
Yeah.
I haven't been inside of it, so I don't even know what it's like on the inside. But it cancels out all of goes back to like the conversation like with my parents. And I love them. I love them dearly. Like they've provided me so much in life, but I've always had this struggle of being able to come to them to ask them for help, really about anything. And my mom and I got into a really hard argument the other day, and it was words that needed to be spoken that were not spoken for years. Like it was pent up for years that we did not speak about this. And every time we start talking, so it's multiple things that come up, right? So I'll start talking to her, and then because my family and I, really my family as a whole, lack communication, we don't know how to talk that well. I do know how to talk well, but when I talk to them, they see me as preaching or they see me as a know-it-all. And it's just like, no, that's not how I'm trying to come out with this. That is how you're perceiving it. That's not the way I want you to perceive it. Like, and this was something that like we got into it with, and I was just like, I'm here to help. Like that's all I see myself doing. Like I just want to help people. And I was just like, Mom, like I have massage clients that see me more as a therapist than an actual massage person. Like they come to me with troubles and hard things. And thankfully through my life experiences, I've been able to understand when they're saying something to me and how to understand it, but then give them something back for them to see it in a different way to hopefully mend it. And one thing she said to me was just like, you're only 34 years old. You haven't been through any life experiences. And I'm like, what the fuck are you? You don't see that because you don't want to hear what I have to say to you.
Yeah.
So you see me as this person that's inexperienced. And then the thing that she always throws it back at me as is the financial realm. It's, you don't even have any money. Neither fucking do you. Like none of us have money. Like we anybody in the middle to low class, we're all living pretty much paycheck to paycheck. That's pretty much what we are. And the people that I believe you're in that same category as myself, I know that I have something inside of me that's not mediocre. I'm not here to live a fucking paycheck to paycheck. I want to be able to make a substantial amount of money for other people. Because of the things that I've had to go through in this life, and I've been able to understand it. And then through those understandings, it's going to give me that financial understanding to then be able to share it to more people. Like this money isn't for me. And I've talked about this in another podcast, but I'm not here to live mediocre. I'm not here to be a mediocre person living 9 to 5, fucking doing all that dumb shit. No. That ain't me. Yeah. And that is to some people. And I respect that that's what you want to do. Like, I love you for doing that because you're same thing as the homeless people. You're showing me not to live that way. I don't want to live a 9 to 5 life. So thank you for living that way to show me that that's not the way I'm supposed to live.
Yeah.
I will go through the struggles. I'll go through those pains and aches to know that I can rise above it to be outside of that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for showing me not to live a certain way. Same thing with showing me how not to be a person that lacks communication. Because of how my family lives in a lack of communication state, you're teaching me how to fully communicate to whoever it is.
Yeah.
No matter what your background is, no matter what skin color you have, no matter what belief system you have, I want to communicate with you because you bleed the same color as I do. So let's fucking talk.
Amen.
You want to talk about something people wouldn't want to believe into the session that I did last night? Same person. She was ill, she was getting over a sickness. And this is my belief systems where we're able to, people who are healers, thankfully, I believe we're all healers. Let me start there.
Yeah.
I believe we're all healers. It's the same thing as how we're all empathic, we're all intuitive, but they're all to different degrees.
Yeah.
Because of how much work you want to put into empathy or intuition or a healer aspect. Everybody has it differently, right? So to myself, I believe I'm on the higher degrees of those things.
Yeah.
All three of them. I believe I'm on the higher degrees. So she told me that she was just getting over, this is a while ago, but she was just getting over a sickness, but she still had it in her. So, okay, that's fine. Whenever people say that to me, I never get scared. I don't fear I'm now going to get sick.
Yeah.
I have the belief system of I'm going to take it in. And then because I know how to heat my body up, because you can do that when you look into different philosophies, you can heat your internal system up. And what is heating up the system? You're destroying the viruses, you're destroying the bacteria. So through breath work and through mind's intention, I'm able to take in whatever that person has into myself to then heat my body up on the internal side, to then destroy that bacteria and virus, so then that person doesn't have it in them anymore, and then I've destroyed it in me, so now it's completely gone. And at the end of the session, I asked her, I was like, hey, was it XYZ in the body? Is this what you were feeling? And she was like, yeah. How did you know that? And I was just like, because that's exactly what I was feeling inside the session too. And I felt it release. And I was like, did you feel it release at this point? And she's just like, yeah. And I was like, that's when it released out of me too. But that goes into energy fields, right? So if you're both working on a higher plane, you're both in convergence with each other. But if one is higher and one's lower, it's not going to be palatable. It's going to be two different frequency fields running at the same motion. But then when you are on the same playing field with each other, you can both be working simultaneously in the same exact energy fields to be doing what you have to do. Her and I, we resonate very deeply. She's an older woman, probably in like late 50s, early 60s.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you told me about her. I think.
Maybe. And then last night, it was a very, very deep session. Like I said, I was having very negative, ugly thoughts, couldn't get out of my own way. I was sitting very low in the vibrational fields. And we had a 2-hour session, her and I. And as I want to say it was about 35, 40 minutes into the session, I was like, why am I like this? This isn't my thoughts. This isn't how I think. This is not how I just see life. This isn't me. This is not like who I'm supposed to be. So I kept on like telling myself, this isn't me. This isn't how I think. This is not how I'm supposed to be living. And then all of a sudden, I've worked with, once again, people are going to look at it because you can look it up. And when you look it on the internet, people are going to see these entities of who they are and immediately go into the negative. They're called the Jinn, Jinn. And as soon as you look them up on the internet, you're going to get articles and articles about how negative they are, how demonic they are. What's the difference between you and I? What's the difference between a person walking outside? They could be demonic and I could not be. It's all about intention. Same thing with the angelic realm. There's angels that are fucking bad. There's angels that are good. There's good people. There's bad people. So we have to drop this whole thing of this demonology of a specific mystical group. Same thing with like fairies. There's good fairies, there's bad fairies. There's bad witches, there's good witches. There's good sorcerers, there's bad sorcerers. Look about every movie, every book, all of this stuff we have to also then remove those thoughts too, where it's just like, it's only a fairy tale. It's not real. How do you know? How do you know it's only a fairy tale? Because that's what they've told us?
Yeah.
Like everything else? We're supposed to fear something because that's what they told us? Why do we have to listen to everything they say? I have to go to the doctors because that's the only way I'll get better. Why? Because that's what they say?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but using different perspectives of looking at it. So the Jinn I work with a mentor in the metaphysical realm, and her and I do a lot of deep work. And she's taught me many things already, and we have more sessions to come, but she works directly with them. And I too, in a previous life, was a part of the Jinn. And it's the same thing as like a Native American culture, right? I'm using different analogies to be able to relate the stories to people to understand. Like if you go into a Native American tribe, they're not going to accept you. You have to be inducted in, you have to be initiated in, you have to prove yourself to them. that you are and can be a part of that tribe, and that you will not use their like medicine wheel understandings and to use it in a negative way. They want to know that your soul is pure, that you're going to use the knowledge that they have inside that Native American tribe wisely. So same thing in the Christianic world. You come into learning about these understandings of the Holy Spirit and how to connect to these higher realms of the Holy Spirit. Well, there's many people that use the Holy Spirit in a very negative way, but then there's people that use it in a positive. You have to be inducted into these realms as you go higher. So that was a preference and understanding of what I'm talking about. So with this Jinn, I was a part of this Jinn in another life, but they're deep, 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 deep in the underworld. Very far down in the underworld. Always wearing cloaks, like you can't see their face, you don't see their hands, they're always covered. But they do a lot of deep mystical work. And I was in session with this woman, and like I said, about 35, 40 minutes in, all of a sudden, 5 of them came into the room, just felt the presence. And I thankfully have a very clear third eye, and I can see very deep imagery inside myself. And there was 5 of them in the room. And as soon as they came in the room, all of that negative energy, all of the negative thoughts, gone. Completely wiped clean. It was as soon as they came in, I was lifted right back up again into the higher vibrational fields. I was able to think clearly. I was able to see who I just was in just 30 seconds before. Like, what? That wasn't me. Like, I knew that wasn't me. As soon as they came in, I was brought up. Working on her, yada, yada, yada. Then we get to the end of the session, and her and I have very good dialogue back and forth. And I told her about these entities, these spirits. And she's like, you know what? I felt something come in the room and my heart started to palpitate really fast because of the high vibrational field that these entities are, which is why they brought me so fast up. She was just like, my heart started to palpitate really fast. And I asked her, when did it happen? And it was on her right leg when she was face down. And that was the exact time that they came in the room. It was when I was working on her right leg when they were face down. And then on top of that, I do a lot of holdings with her, and holding her leg. And then when I lift it up, it's almost like there was a block in between my hands and her leg, but it was an energy block. But I was lifting it up out of her and removing it so that the tension wouldn't be sitting there anymore. And I could see the energy and the vibrations of what I was lifting up. And as she said, like, she was telling me she was feeling that too. And I was seeing it when I was working on her, and then she was confirming it to me what I was doing. And I was just like, that's because of them. The Jinn also were there to help you. They wanted to help remove whatever blockages you had inside your energy field so that it could be removed. But her right leg always holds more than her left. And that was the huge lift up off of her. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I see all of them. That's why, like, people are going to say, like, it's all fucking bullshit. Like, how are you thinking this way? Like my thing is, God created everything, right? So if he puts something into existence, whatever the realm or mystical realm that it is, it was created for a reason. It's been on man or flesh that has made the distinction that it can't be real or that it's negative. Well, if God created it, didn't God create everything from love? So why would he create fairies to be not good? Why would he create entities or sorcerers or witches to be not good? It's been flesh that has then corrupted what God created to bring into this sphere that we're inside.
Something to think about.
It is. Yeah. It very much so is. It's people have to stop thinking this way. If you are a follower of God and you believe in God, he created everything for a reason. He created every interaction that we've had for a reason. Every circumstance that we've been inside of for a reason. So history that's been told to us, do we know that's true? Do we know that the history that's been told to us is true? Or has man corrupted history and decided to say this is what history is? Especially when you go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Yeah. How do we know? We don't know. We're going off trust that people of our flesh said this is what took place. How do we know? We don't. That's where you have to be able to discern. You have to be able to read these words, feel into them, and be like, was that real or not? That feel good? Like, there's words inside the Bible. Like, there's things that I read inside of that, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem right. Like the Old Testament, for example, like outside of Genesis, because Genesis is
I still have my questions about Genesis.
I think it's a restart. I think Genesis is a restart to our Earth. So I don't think it was created in Genesis. I think we had a huge catalytic event that took place that restarted our civilization. And we're only seeing one perspective that the Jews have wanted us to know: Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And then Noah. How do we know there weren't other cultures? But then you look at historical context, and other historical contexts talk about civilizations that were taking place when the flood came.
Even Adam and Eve, there's so many questions I've had, like even some of the wording that they use, right? Like, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was like, you remember, who was it that got kicked out? Was it Cain or Abel? Do you remember
One of
this?
the two. I don't remember which one, but it was one of the two.
One of them got kicked out for killing their brother.
Right.
And
I think it was Cain.
It was Cain, right?
And then Abel died.
Yeah.
And then Seth was the next brother.
So Cain was kicked out. And in the wording, it says he went to go live with other civilizations.
Mm-hmm.
How could there be other civilizations
That's
if
right.
it was just Adam and Eve and then Cain and Abel? How could there be other civilizations? It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So there's so many questions in Genesis that I even question, like, did it really start with Adam and Eve? Like, were they really the first two people here on this planet? I don't know.
That's right. And same thing is like, they're becoming like one of us. What do you mean, us?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Us. That means plural. That means more than one.
Yes, small little words like that. There's so many words like that within the book of Genesis where I'm starting to question.
But then you look at these religious doctorate people that are just going to be like, well, that's meaning that it's Christ and God and the Holy Spirit. Us. How do you know? Like, I had to believe everything you say?
Yeah.
No, I am my own being. I can believe what I want to say. And if I listen to other forms of information and I leave myself open to God, He will always direct us. If you're working from a pure heart and a pure mind, He will lead your soul to where you're supposed to listen to information.
Yeah.
Because you're seeking the right information.
Yeah.
But if you are being blind and you're listening to, well, this person went to this college, so they have the highest degree, so they know everything. The same thing as the doctors.
Yeah.
The doctors know everything. So when I'm sick, I have to go to the doctors. Do you though?
Nope.
That's what it's the same thing. It's literally the same thing in a different form.
Yeah. And then why also go to somebody that's flesh just like you? Why not go to the creator of the universe that can guide you in the right direction, that could also heal you from whatever it is that you're trying to be healed from? Mm-hmm. Whether it's you being healed from or you seeking knowledge, He can give you the knowledge that you asked for.
That's right.
Why not go to Him?
That's right.
Perfect segue though. Do you want to get into the call-ins?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, we thought this would be a pretty good idea to have people kind of just like leave questions, whether it's in the comment section or like actually call in. I don't know how that would work. You think people would actually call in? I don't think we have like a super large following yet.
What I immediately went into thinking is we should get like an actual phone line.
That would be crazy.
Call hotline, the Prodigal Sons hotline.
Prodigal Sons, that would be hilarious, man. Like one of those old telephones.
Yeah, I feel like either. I mean, we can put but then it gets sketchy, right? You put your phone number in the bio or something like that.
Yeah. You know what we can do? We could also just make a poll on Instagram. Not a poll, but we could, well, it could be a poll. We could have people like ask questions.
Yeah, ask questions here.
Yeah. Like
and then
ask
we can
questions.
Pull it up.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that way too, for sure. Or comments on YouTube, like whatever the platform is, you can put comments there. And then, because like I was saying to you before, I like when people ask me questions.
Me too.
Because it helps me have a focus into what I need to answer.
Yeah.
Where from that, I can always tangent off into other things.
Yep.
But in the beginning, I have that direct focus to what I'm supposed to.
So we actually have the first question ever. This is my father. Because apparently he's a big fan of the show.
Which is cool. And we appreciate you.
Yeah, we do.
And before I play this message, I'm not offended. And you'll know what I'm saying to you.
Good. Please ask us any questions that you guys like come up with. It could be the deepest questions. There's nothing I don't think there's any question that's too deep.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I like, we're open books. We want to kind of just like dive into everything, go into our past, go into our present, whatever it is. Like, we want to share everything with you and be authentic and open and honest, so you guys can hopefully connect with our experiences. So yeah.
And I'm probably going to pause it throughout. And I'm sure if you want me to pause it while I'm playing, say something to me. Because if you have commentary to whatever is being said or whatever, like, say something.
Please. So yeah, this is my father. He sent a little audio message. It's on your phone, so let's see.
Big shout out to the prodigal sons. I just wanted to say I love your podcast. You have me completely intrigued, and I am always leaving viewing your podcast hungrier and hungrier than the time before. And I have a couple of questions to both Bryan, aka Jesus.
This is something I feel like we might have mentioned in, I don't know if it's been on podcast, but we've talked about it in person, where actually we've talked about it on the phone before. I remember walking my dog and it's coming back to me, but I couldn't tell you. It's well into the thousands that people have said,
refer to you as Jesus.
Yeah, refer to me as Jesus. And in the beginning, because I didn't even know who Jesus was, so I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I honestly had no idea. I mean, and I'm being completely honest with you. Like, I have never heard of Jesus before I got into the Bible. And even growing up when I went to CCD school, I was so unconscious to everything that I didn't even know what the fuck the Bible was when I was in CCD school.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was always being compared to this person, and I always felt so uncomfortable because it's just like, but I don't even know who this person is. Like, I'm just being me. Like, this is me. Like, why are you comparing me to somebody else? Like, I didn't understand it. And then once I started to understand more of the figure that he is, it made me feel like I wasn't living up to what I was supposed to be living as. So then it made me feel inadequate. And I felt so, I guess depleted is the right word. I was just like, fuck, like I'm not doing the right things. And people are looking at me to be this person. So I would feel bad that I wasn't this person because I wasn't living the way people thought I would be living. So then I'd be like, well, shit, like I am a bad person. Like I'm not a good person because I'm not living for what this image is as to what people want me to be. But then it was just like, as it got further and further in, because this has been happening for years and years that this has been taking place. Now it's like what Christ is trying to teach us. We are meant to live in his footsteps. We're supposed to live the teachings that he gave us. And if you live the teachings that he gives us, that is the way he wants us living. So that is how I live now. I live by doing good to others who do good to myself. Knock and you shall receive. Trying to do everything that you can, knowing that you're doing it out of the servitude of God. So like, because people have compared me to him and I was not living up to the standard of him, I am now trying to live like him every single day. So if that means I have to look like him for you to believe in him, to know that that's the way we're supposed to be living, well, fuck, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Because I want, myself to be doing good for others. And I want to be that living, walking proof that you too can be doing that. Look at my past.
Yeah.
All the drugs I did, all of the horribleness that I did, abortions that I've done, to yelling and screaming and cursing at my parents, to doing erratic things. Like, would Christ want me to be doing that? No.
Yeah.
So I have to go through these things to show others that I too walked in similar shoes as you did. And now I'm trying to walk in similar shoes as Christ did, so that you too can be that living proof.
Yeah.
So that all of us can be that living proof, that we don't have to just be flesh, that we're supposed to be spirit, that we're supposed to be moving with spirit and moving and guiding ourselves in the direction that Christ would want us to be moving inside of.
Just a quick question. What do you wear in the wintertime?
Boots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just have sandals, boots, and then do you have anything else?
2 pairs of shoes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have these like really flat shoes that are wide base to keep my toes out and not be so constricted like regular shoes are. Which when you then look at the formation of our feet, no wonder we have so many hip and knee problems. It's because of our toes.
Yeah.
Our toes are so cramped inside of shoes, which why were shoes made that way? Because people want to have us being injured so that we can then go have surgeries to keep the money in the system. Let's get people sick and continuously sick so they feed off our system.
Yep.
That's why they want us to continuously go to doctors. I don't believe in it because I think it's bullshit. So that's why I'm my own doctor and I don't need to go to doctors because I'm not going to feed into a system.
Yep.
Same thing. I'm not going to have shoes that fuck up my feet, to fuck up my knees, to fuck up my hips because I don't want to believe in the system.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So flat shoes, and then I have running shoes, which are tight, but I deal with it because I know I need to do it for if I'm running 8, 10, 12, whatever miles or sprinting. I need those types of shoes. And then boots.
Yeah.
That's.
Please pardon me if that's offensive to you, but you have been implanted in my brain as what Jesus would look like if he appeared to me physically on this earth that we inhabit. And D, I also have a question for you as well, but I would like to break these questions up. So to get to the question, which is first for Bryan, I did hear you discuss celibacy, and that you've not only experienced celibacy one time earlier in your life for a significant period of time, but you're now going through what I believe is another period in your life, which is either at the 2-year point or closely approaching. And I did hear you in your last podcast, almost indicate how much longer you could see yourself, but you didn't mention a number, right? But what came to mind to me, and I respect this, I myself endured celibacy for about a year and a half, and it was
you can
pure
pause
bliss,
it.
to be honest.
I know you're gonna be watching this. Why don't you get to the point? I'm sorry. We talk about this all the time. We talk about the people in our family that we feel like talk the most. He's number one. He's tied with my grandmother. He just goes on, and no disrespect.
Is that his mom?
The grandmother that I'm closest to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his mom.
So there you go.
Yeah,
Generation.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's generation.
Yeah.
But I make fun of him all the time because I'll call him up just to ask him one simple question, and that one simple question will turn into an hour-long conversation. It's just like, come on, man.
But it's so coming from the opposite side, right? Mm-hmm. Where my parents don't talk at all. I would love to have that.
Yeah.
So perspective, right? Mm-hmm. You're seeing it as all right, dude, 30 minutes later, what are we doing? Meanwhile, I would love just to have a 30-minute conversation with my parents.
Perspective, right? Yeah.
Right. It's perspective. Right. It's totally perspective. And it's the environment we grow up inside of is what we're going to perceive.
Yeah. I'm so accustomed to it now, so it's kind of just like, okay.
Here it is.
We got you. We got you, Dad.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. But I still appreciate you.
For sure. So portion of it, the first I was celibate for 2 years. It was from end of 2019 into 2021. And that was when I met my girlfriend, who is now my ex. And then that ex has now led me back into celibacy, which was almost coming up on soon to be a year. I think it was August range, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And this is something that we talked about now, is jerking off a part of celibacy.
Oh, God, you got to prep me for that, man.
No, whatever, dude. It just comes out. No pun intended.
Yeah. Is it a part of it? I would say yes, it is. That's how I would view it. But again, my father, the audience, other people can view it differently.
For sure. I would put it into the same category as you. So then I wouldn't be celibate for the full year. Not having intercourse, yes, coming up on a full year. But ejaculating, no. That's
I only say
4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still good though.
Yeah, for sure.
The only reason why I would categorize them together is because you're still living in that realm of sexual pleasure.
For sure.
So I think once you're releasing, I've had some people say, oh, it's like the same thing. It's like the same thing. First of all, no, it's not. Far from it. But two, you're still in that release sort of state, right? Where you feel like you have to pleasure yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why I categorize them in the same place. Or in the same group.
I would put it in the same thing too.
Yeah.
So not a full year, closer to 4 months range.
You're at peace though when you do neither.
Yes, and there is times where